You see birds, there is some fish nearby, Jerry. Okay? If you see birds, listen. They'll say like, look, touch the patch on, he's got a rough patch on his tongue, bro. Look at the fish. Look at the body of the fish. That fish right there don't look like that one.
Hi, my name's Trace. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Lexington, South Carolina. This trip was actually a Christmas present and I am really enjoying it so far. I've learned a lot about frog fishing and all the stuff that Brian touched on, and I just really like to hear him, and I watch him on YouTube all the time, and he gives a lot of great tips.
All right, y'all, we've been talking about chatterbaits for a couple weeks. Talked about what kind of rod, what kind of chatterbait, what kind of trailer. If you haven't watched those videos, you need to go back and check out the whole catalog of videos talking about fishing a chatterbait. Only thing that left to discuss is what size line, what kind of line do I like to use with a chatterbait. So I'm gonna give you my personal take on it, and then I got 3 other of my buddies here. One, this guy's really overwashed his boat, so he could take it down there and
get it dirty again.
And get it dirty again. Huh?
It'll just be a little less dirty.
It'll be a little less dirty. Maybe it will be. But I got Bobby, Flint, and I got Christian over here. We're gonna see what they like to use for scatterbait fishing line.
Scatterbait?
You probably got one tied on. Do you got one tied on, Flint?
I do.
All right, so let's talk about this. If you're going to throw a chatterbait, what just the line. He got one tied on, just like what I just said.
I like 17-pound line. You can get it. You don't have to. You can get it through thick cover. It don't have to be nothing special. Light diameters. I mean, I like it.
17 fluoro.
17 fluoro.
All right, that's
simple.
Easy and
That's
simple
it.
for me. I'm with you on that.
Here, no matter where I'm at, 17-pound line.
I'm pretty close. All right, so he's got 17. We got one for 17 fluoro. Bobby, talk to me, baby.
I like 16. Heck, I got one too.
What kind of bullcrap is that? Who makes 16?
Huh?
Who makes some bullcrap?
Missouri
16?
does.
So he's got him a scatterbait on.
Yeah, I like 16. You know, I mean, just like he said, it's very versatile. You can use it around cover, and it still doesn't mess up the action too much, like going up to 20 wood or something like that. But the only time I would go under that is if we were fishing for like smallmouth or something real cold. It'd be like 14 or 12
you would
in
go
clear
down.
water. Yeah.
Okay, you would go down. Grisco, look at this guy.
He's
cleaning up.
25-pound fluorocarbon.
You need to go.
8 foot rod.
It's like I just.
65-pound break.
What, Grisco? What is it? What pound test? A scatterbait?
20.
20. He did say 20. 20. 20. Why?
I mean, well, on Okeechobee, 20 for sure. Just because there's so much cover and stuff. I mean, even just getting it stuck, if you have anything less than 20, you're just gonna break off your chatterbait.
Okay. All right. So that's. I mean, honestly, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So let me zoom out because I know I'm like,
Those big ones, when you get them on the chatterbait here, I mean, they run.
Well,
You know, he's the only one catching big ones. Yeah.
I know, right? Nobody else is catching big ones at all. The other thing about, I think I definitely messed up with a chatterbait early on is like, especially a jackhammer. A jackhammer's got a 5/0 Gamakatsu flipping hook.
You gotta have a big one.
You need something to get, like, you gotta, to get the hook in.
You can't just lean into them.
Yeah, you can't be just like, it ain't no spinning reel hook set really. Personally, I got like a couple different scenarios. I will use as small as 15, especially with that. Y'all probably hadn't thrown the Chatterbait Mini Max. So I'll fish that Chatterbait Mini Max. It's a little bit smaller. It's got a lighter hook. I'll use 15 for that. Helps keep the bait down. You can cast it a lot further sometimes too. So sometimes even with a jackhammer, I'll use 15, as light as 15, just so I can cast a little bit further. And I do feel like I got a little bit more vibration, a little bit more thump when I'm using a little bit smaller line. However, I am a little bit like Christian. For the longest, I was using 20. Especially like if I'm using a 3/4 ounce chatterbait, half ounce or 3/4, and I'm really singing it out there, I'll use 20-pound tests. I mean, I'll use 20-pound tests. I will. I've used it all in between. I like the 17, like what he was talking about. 17 pounds is good. I think it's a bad idea to do anything less than 15.
I do like a big rod when you're like fishing like big grass flats and
Big
stuff.
grass.
A bigger rod.
Yeah.
Just to get
Longer. Like when you say bigger, you mean
like
longer?
longer casts just
Yeah.
to get a hook in them. Shorter casts like a little short rod.
Yeah, I'm the same thing on that. Like right now, I got my chatterbait on a 7-foot rod.
That's exactly what that's
Yeah,
what it is.
because I'm like kind of precise cast, but a lot of times I'll use the 7.2 that my 7.2 composite rod. So I know the number one thing that I always hear people talk about when we start talking about chatterbait and fishing line is they'll say, well, I use braid. I think it's the worst, horrible, worstest, terriblest, stupidest, dumbest thing in the world. I'm not calling you dumb if you fish it. I'm not calling you dumb, but I am saying it is a bad idea to use braided line with a chatterbait. Would you ever use braid with a chatterbait?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Bobby?
I've heard of people doing it with very, like glass rods, you know, very limber rods, but I'm not a fan of it particularly.
Yeah. Christian, would you use Christian would?
He might, yeah.
Christian using braid?
65.
It's like, yeah, I just use 65 pounds.
Nah, chatterbait's really like one of the only things I won't go to braid because I think you would just rip the hook out.
Yeah. Same.
You won't get a good hookup. I mean, the only time I would ever even consider it is if somehow I got on a bite where the hydrilla is like super thick and all they would bite was the chatterbait, then maybe you'd consider it just to get them out of it, but you're not gonna have a good hookup ratio.
Yeah. Everything he just said is why it is a horrible idea. And then you're gonna have somebody in the comment section, well, I've caught thousands of them on 50-pound braid, a 30-pound braid.
I used to, when I first started using them because they were $20 and I was 15 years old and didn't want to break them off, I used fishy, but I actually bent out a lot of the clips on them due to that.
Exactly what he just said. All right, so number one reason that you would not want to use braid with a chatterbait, that little clasp, the clip on the chatterbait, you're going to open that thing up if you're trying to powerhouse a fish with braid into the boat, or just with the hook set in general. So the next rebuttal is going to be, well, you just got to match your line. Bro, line is cheaper than rods, okay? So just use the right rod, because you don't want to sacrifice the preciseness of your cast with a little limber rod so you can use braid. It doesn't make any sense at all. Use the right size line. If braid was better, all three of us paid $5,000 to fish this tournament. We would have our chatterbait on braid if it was better. I'm telling you, try the fluorocarbon. That is the way to go when you're fishing a chatterbait. Also, anytime you're making long casts like that, when you get a backlash or braid, boy, that is a cussing situation right there. Because you're probably going to have to downsize to like 30-pound test braid just to get the thing to do anything right. So it's a bad idea. Like Christian was saying, if you get one that's nipping at it with braid, you're probably gonna, a lot of times you just barely have those fish hooked. You just got him skin hooked. You don't want to use that and just pull it out of the fish's mouth. Braid is one of those things where I feel like it's a very specialized tool. You're only going to use it pretty much when you have to. Flipping grass, top water is a good situation to use braid in. But it's a good idea if it's got any type of wires. Like I wouldn't never use it with spinnerbait. I would never use it with, I don't even like doing it with crankbait. I don't like using braid for that. It's just not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Trust me, if it was a good idea, you would see more pros doing it, and we don't use that for catching fish. Most treble hook baits, with the exception of top waters, it's a very bad idea to use braid. So I know I always see that, so I figured I want to address why you don't use braid. It's for those reasons. Could open up the hook, especially if you're just throwing like a Chatterbait Mini Max. You open up the hook. That's a lighter wire hook. It's almost like using a EWG hook. It's just a light wire worm hook. So you need lighter line, a little bit softer rod, so you don't open that hook up. That's it. That's all we got to talk about with line with a chatterbait. Just that bait in general, just line. 17, 16, 20. Anything in between that, 15 and 20, I think you'll be all right. That's your Chatterbait Summit 101. Reporting from Florida. Oh yeah, we're all fishing the Okeechobee. We're all fishing Okeechobee invitationals this week. So make sure you tune in to MajorLeagueFishing.com. Is that where you find that? This tournament will be over by the time this goes out anyway, so never mind that. But just follow along with us all this year. We'll all be traveling together, making vlogs. I think everybody has some type of YouTube something. You doing?
I'm
You
working
do? You working on it? You
I'm
doing
working
something?
on
Boo?
it as well.
They working on it. That means they're not working on it. That means they're working on it. Say what?
This guy has a YouTube channel.
Oh, they know you. Hey, when my channel pops up, you see Christian Greco viewers watch this channel
Well, that's
underneath.
good. Make sure you guys go subscribe.
Subscribe, like my little boy says. Make sure you scribble on that subscribe button.
Welcome to my video. Scribble on that subscribe button.